Hello chess friends and welcome to your out of chess channel and welcome to another great game from the Chennai Masters in 2024. We're now already in round 4 of this amazing chess event and we're following of course the match between Amin Tabatabaei against Arjun Erigaisi because Arjun is the man that we're following. Arjun is now simply on an incredible run. Yesterday, he won his game and became now the second best rated chess player in the world after Magnus Carlsen. So only Big Magnus is in front of Arjun Erigaisi, which is really, really crazy. And today, maybe with the winning against Amin Tabatabaei, Arjun could extend his run and also could fix his situation on the second place. I think huge opportunity for Arjun Erigaisi to become really, really the legend of the sport. So let's see now what happened. The game finished a couple of minutes ago with the white pieces. Amin Tabatabaei opened with move e4. Arjun's response was the solid e5. Knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4. The Italian game is on the board. Knight to f6, 2 knights defense, d3. We have bishop to c5, the Giuoco Pianissimo normal. And now after move kingside castling, now also the standard d6 here by Arjun. We have now the move c3, a6, creating some spaces for the bishop after potential b4 move. We have now the move a4 here by Amin Tabatabaei, also preventing some ideas like b5 here by black. We have now very interesting sideline, of course, here by Arjun Erigaisi with the move h6, which is now a prophylactic idea to not allow that's not allowing here to get pinned by white. But Pragrananda, and also I've seen now many Indian players are playing this h6 sideline in which they're not actually playing sort of a defensive method here just to prevent the move bishop to g5. Actually, this h6 move is now a preparation to launch an early flank attack with the move g5. A very aggressive method in the Italian game. He is now becoming, I think, more and more popular because I think black gets some kind of an attack, and I think attacking chances to create with the black pieces is, I think, very rare, at least not in the early stage of the game. So that's why I think in the next couple of years we can expect maybe this idea to be the standard line of the Italian opening. We have now the move rook to e1 by Amin Tabatabaei, preparing of course the central breakthrough with the move d4. Arjun steps back with the move bishop to a7, and now b4 here by Amin Tabatabaei, simply continue the pressure now on the queen side. And now the real fun starts. Here Arjun launches immediately the flank attack with the move g5. Bishop to e3 here by Amin, not allowing anything to happen on this diagonal. After rook to e3, here the position becomes more and more, I would say, static. The position gets more and more simplified because now at least one bishop pair is off the board. But now Arjun, of course, continues with the move g4, immediately launching here the further attack against the knight. We have now knight to e1 and now h5. We have now the move d4 here by white, and now of course Arjun simply continues with the move h4. White is desperately now trying to open somehow the center because there is a certain rule in chess that says when you get an early flank attack, then the best way to proceed is to counter in the center of the board to somehow let the position in the center explode. Now you see, even if you play something like, I don't know, d takes e5, you actually didn't solve anything here because then knight to e5 is going to happen, and there's no way that you're going to kick away this knight from the square e5 with the potential f4 move. Then after g takes f3 en passant, rook to g8, the g file could be open, and actually the game would become then very dangerous here for white. So you see, very hard. That's the issue, I think, here for white to break somehow the center of the board, to open somehow this position. And here, believe me or not, Amin Tabatabaei immediately doesn't react correctly, at least not in the best way. Here he played bishop to e2. It is a little bit too passive. The bishop was, I think, on a very active square. What you should do is simply to continue with knight to d2, and then after something like e takes d4, c takes d4, you can allow yourself maybe even to lose a pawn here. But as we mentioned, in order to make anything happen here, you have to somehow open the center. That's your main plan. Then this attack by black is not so dangerous. At least black has to worry something here in the beginning of the game. So at least something is happening. So as I said, here bishop to e2 is simply too passive because here Arjun Erigaisi had the immediate opportunity to play an aggressive move g3. After f takes g3, h takes g3, and rook to g3, you would lose the pawn on e4. That's the issue. So that's why you would be forced then to play the move h3. But look at this, what the engine is suggesting here. Arjun, unfortunately, for the beauty of the game, didn't play this move g3, which is really, really understandable, because after potential h3, what you're supposed to do now with the black pieces, this is really crazy. What you're supposed to do is actually now black should open the center with the move d5. This is really crazy. I'm not sure how many of us would even consider this line. This is just a stockfish suggested line here. d5 is actually a great move. Then after something like e takes d5, you pick up the pawn with an attempt with an attack against the rook. Or if, for instance, d takes e4 happens, then you have d takes e5, then you have knight takes e4, and still black should be here slightly better even in this position. So g3 was actually Arjun's main idea to make any further progress here, but unfortunately now for him, after move bishop to e2 that Amin Tabatabaei played as a mistake, now Arjun played a mistake himself. He played a too passive move with queen to e7, which is also understandable why Arjun did this, because he was probably worried because of this potential ideas to open the center somehow. But you see, actually black should have opened the center. So really, really a beautiful, beautiful dynamic position. Now, again, if d takes e5 happens, then probably Arjun's idea was after queen to e7 to have a further grip around the square e5. Then after knight to e5, again, nothing I think can happen here. Maybe in some lines bishop to e6, even preparing maybe queenside calcing is an option here for black. I really didn't analyze it too deep now if queenside calcing in this position would be possible, but I think from a strategic point of view could be working. Then you're not vulnerable on this file, and then you can continue with your pressure on the king side. But okay, here after queen to e7, Amin Tabatabaei plays now d5, which actually I think is a move that black loves. Now the center is closed, now the center is locked, and now black doesn't have to worry so much about the endangered king in the center of the board. So now d5, knight to b8 here by Arjun, and now after knight to d2, now here Arjun makes, I think, a mistake that could have costed him the game. Here, maybe just for fun, if you want to practice some middle game ideas, pause the video and try to see now here the best idea for black. It's actually not an attacking idea. It's a very, very important defensive idea here for black, which Arjun, unfortunately for him, missed. So what would you do now in this particular position? A very important move now, very, very important moment of this game. Okay, in any of these lines we have to mention, because of this passive move by Arjun with the move queen to e7, white is slightly better. But what black needs to do in order to somehow survive this game is the move a5. a5 is a forcing move, which forces now reaction by white on the queen side. If, for instance, b5 happens, then black has solved, I think, any problem, any tactical and positional problem on the queen side. Then we can play something like b6, then after something like c4, and there is now, I think, a standard motif, maybe knight to d7, knight to c5, you fix your knight on c5, maybe then bishop to d7, and again, maybe queenside calcing would be possible, because the position on the queen side is finally static. There is no possible, at least not good possible, pawn mobility here on the queen side. Or if after a5 you play b takes a5, then after rook to a5, white would then continue the game maybe with a weak pawn on a4, and then after something like c4, you can again play in sort of a blocking system, not allowing c5 to happen. You see these pawns are controlling that, and then you play again maybe knight to d7, knight to c5, or knight to a6, knight to c5, maybe keeping this light square bishop open here. So it would be then again a fixed position simply on the queen side. That was the only way here for Arjun to make anything to happen here, but he played now a passive again, queen to f8. He probably wanted to reroute the queen, maybe here on the king side, trying to continue the attack on the king side, but now Amin Tabatabaei makes a mistake. He doesn't find simply the best attacking idea here. What white should have played is actually here the move c4. c4 would simply crack the position, and now moves like a5 are not working anymore. Now c5 is coming through. You take, then we take, you may be trying something like this. I've just analyzed one line here, queen to d7, d7, then knight to c4. Look at this. White would continue the pressure here, would temporarily, of course, sacrifice a pawn, but you can even further sacrifice anything. Look at this. Knight to e5, rook takes c8. For instance, you try bishop to d7, knight to d7, e5. This is the position that we have talked about. White has to break through here in the center of the board. Or maybe, I don't know, here, instead of this move d takes c5, what you could maybe do, a takes b4. Then again, we take, then the queen is coming. You're trying to, I don't know, protect your bishop on c8 somehow. But then knight to d3, and again, this pawn will be taken now with the queenside attack here. Knight takes b4, knight to c4, d6 weak. So many tactical problems. The king is stuck in the center, so here white would be much better. But instead, after move queen to f8, here Amin Tabatabaei played now bad move, knight to f1, didn't continue his attack on the queen side, and here Arjun finally gets back into the game with the move queen to h6. Now c4, we have now the move g3. Again, Arjun's better choice was again to play a5, again to compete on the queen side. He played now here the move g3, which also makes perfect sense because now you're finally breaking through. And now after knight from b to d7, we have now the move c5. Again, because of the move a5 that Arjun didn't play, again, white should be slightly better in this position. We have now knight to f8. Here Arjun is trying to reroute the knight here on g6, maybe then afterwards to f4, and then maybe let the position explode here around the square h3. We have now c takes d6. We have now c takes d6, and because of the space advantage, because of the possible queenside attack, and a solid defense, I would say now by white. Here white has regrouped. White has brought many pieces into defense. I would say again, much better position here for white. Here we have in this position again a critical moment. So in order to continue the attack, in order also to continue the defend on the king side, here Amin Tabatabaei should have played rook from a to a3. That's the way to go, because the position will probably collapse here around the square h3, would probably crack here, so you're getting a new defender on the third rank, which is very important now. And now after knight to g6, you can just, I don't know, continue the pressure here, but at least a new defender is there. That's now the most important thing to say. But white played here a huge mistake with queen to c1, which allows here Arjun Erigaisi to play this beautiful tactical shot that he has prepared. This is sort of a King's Indian, I would say, tactical shot. You know, when you play the common standard lines of the King's Indian defense, then you're trying, of course, to break and enter with this aggressive bishop to h3 move. We have now g takes h3, and now knight to g6. Arjun is going now for the f4 square, and then afterwards also for the h3 pawn. We have now rook takes g3. Now comes this idea: queen to e3, knight takes h3, rook takes h3, queen takes, and now after rook to h3, now finally we have reached this position in which the engine says this is perfectly equalish position without any complications for both sides. But okay, here bishop to f3, that's just the engine saying it. Look at this, the position I think still is complicated. Here after move bishop to f3, of course, white has to protect now the e4 pawn. We have now rook to c8. Arjun brings now the last piece into the game. Rook to b1, rook to c3, knight to d2, and now king to e7. a5, and now what Arjun is trying to do, both of his rooks are of course on good squares. The rooks are perfectly fine. What he's trying to do now in this position is to somehow bring the knight into the game through the square h5 and maybe through the square f4. But if you play knight to h5, maybe Arjun was worried because there could be a further trades of pieces, and then if the position opens here, then white could be maybe breaking through here. But the next move that I really liked here is this move by Arjun, knight to d7. He found a different way how to have access to the f4 square without further trading off more pieces. Here after knight to d7, king to f2, look at this, knight to g6, and now Arjun has access to this amazing square. And that's the at least good setup that you can build. Both rooks on very active squares, and now activating also the knight on f4. We have b takes a6, bishop to g2, rook to h6, rook to b7 check, rook to b6, and now finally knight to f4. Look at this, at least something. Arjun built at least some kind of a good formation here. He loses the pawn here on a6, but now the rook can go behind. This knight is very unpleasant to handle. You cannot even compete against it with knight to to d3 or similar stuff, so the knight is fixed there. And now Arjun is trying a goal for himself. He's trying now maybe here to move f5 and then somehow let also this pawn roll here on the e file. So great play. Again, the position is about equal, but I think with this great maneuver of the knight all over the board to get it on the f4 square, finally Arjun had now at least some chances to spice up the game here. After rook to a3, we have now rook to a8, king to g7, a6, rook to a2, pinning the knight to f3. You see now white, although has these three minor pieces here, still they have to be somehow connected, glued together. You cannot play freely with them all over the board. You would love to, of course, include somehow this knight on c4, knight to b6, and then push the pawn, but so far it's not possible because also of the beautiful activity by black's pieces. Now Arjun goes with his f5 plan. We have now rook to a7, king to f8, new check, and now comes the critical moment here. Amin Tabatabaei plays now a very, very bad bishop to f1, and suddenly the position is collapsing here for white. What Amin Tabatabaei should have played is now the move rook to d7. Then after something like f takes e4, you pick up this one. That's now the most important plan. And now you can maybe just continue, even if black goes with king to f8, going closer to this rook. Then you can play bishop to f1. And even if this one is taken, the problem is now after rook to d2, a2, and then after something like rook to a7, pardon, here after rook to a2, you can deliver a check, and again black will also have to give up the rook, and suddenly again it's a drawish position. So very, very complicated line to see. First of all, here the checks. If black doesn't want to play this perpetual checks, then in one moment king to f8 he'll probably play, but now you can step back with bishop to f1. That's now the most important thing, and nothing can be done. You cannot pick up this one because of this line with rook to d8. So that's now the critical moment. Really hard to see. It's again just, I think, a brutal stockfish line, or you have to at least spend maybe 30-40 hours here. I mean, Tabatabaei was really low on clock. He couldn't find the best idea, and he played now a passive bishop to f1, which is not good. Now it's a different story. We have now f takes e4, bishop to c4. He's trying some kind of a counter attack, but now Arjun keeps it calm, keeps of course his pieces on the second rank. We have now rook to h3, continuing now the pressure. The king drops back here to e3, e takes f3, knight to e4, here by Amin Tabatabaei, relying of course here on this passer on the a file, but it's simply not working. King to f5, great move here by Arjun. Whatever you do, even if you try rook to f7, then we go here. Even if you try to do some checks, nothing spectacular can happen. There's just one line in which again here black is simply winning the game. Instead of this move rook to f7 here, white tried knight takes d6 check, but great clear calculations by Arjun. He knows that now there's simply no good check by white here. Bishop to f1, an attack against the rook, but now great move here by Arjun Erigaisi, rook to e2, and in this particular position, believe me or not, Amin Tabatabaei simply resigned. So what's the issue? Even if you take, then here f takes e2 comes with a check, then you have to step back with the king, and now the rook is going around the pawn, and in one moment the queen will be promoted. The knight is very, very well placed, supporting the pawn on e2, and this will be obviously game over here for white. Really look at this, how important it was for Arjun to bring this knight on f4. Of course, he didn't see all of that till the end, but that's here really instructive example how to improve your minor pieces, how to find the optimal squares. When he found this f4 square, then he found also this f5 breakthrough idea of let the pawn roll here in the center of the board, and now look at this, the knight became simply like a fixed square in black's position, and now the rook went around, and this should be, of course, here game over here for white. So incredible game, tense battle, a very sharp line of the Italian opening. Very, very popular, I think, as I mentioned. This opening is becoming with this very early aggressive methods for black. Really, we see many dynamic positions, so we saw also there are some improvements that can be done, but I think very cool game here by Arjun Erigaisi. And with this win, Arjun gained again a couple of rating points. Look at this now. Arjun has now 2,809 rating points. In this event, he gained more than 10 points, which is really, really crazy. Now he fixed himself on the second place above Fabiano Caruana and the current rating list in classical time format chess. So this is epic. This is now really, really crazy run by Arjun Erigaisi, and I wish him all of the best. Maybe, who knows, in the next year he can also become the #1 in the world, and maybe, I don't know, maybe Gukesh can become the world champion in chess. India would be really, really proud, I think, of this two great young men. So okay, great game here by Arjun. If you want to see his run so far, we have covered already 2 great games by Arjun. Here are the links of the games that we have analyzed before. Check them out, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.